Part 13. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 122. Chapter 121, Trust. Yes, Eagle Bald sneered, since you have come up with these mean and shameful methods to vilify our Yunfa pavilion, let everyone see who the charm technique is better. Eagle Bald smiled proudly. He was still very sure of his charm technique, although he only learned a fur in Yunfaman, but after all these years, he had to deal with a new charmer who had just learned his hand. That was a piece of cake. In Ying Bald's view, the technique of this little monk's charm that has just entered the middle of gas refining is also limited. Even if he produced a rare amulet, what does that mean? The success rate of frontiers is high, which he knows very well. Hearing the challenge issued by Yingdu to Yekong, the surrounding monks also commented. The little monk is not expected to fight, even if the quality of his charms is better. The skill of the charms is not as good as that of our most famous rune, the bald man. Yeah, that's a real disciple of Yunfaman, isn't that bad? And the real person's cultivation is much higher than him, one in the later period of the foundation and one in the middle of gas refining. There is more than one realm. How can this be compared? It seems that the little monk will not accept the challenge. The Eagle Bald Ears heard the discussion, and couldn't help holding his arms in his hands, proudly saying, "Little brother, dare you try it? Whoever loses, it is who maliciously slanders the other party, and accepts the punishment for exiting Beizai village." When Ying Bald said this, everyone was very surprised. You must know that Yunfuge has been here for so many years. If you lose, you must close the store and clear the market. Such a bet is cost-effective for Yekong. After all, how can they make a temporary stall on a par with the big names of others? But no one would believe that Eagle Bald would lose, not even Zhang Wulin. Brother Xia, I don't think it's over, let's be soft and don't compare, Zhang Wulin advised. How do you do that? Yekong snorted and smiled at the real man with bald head. I really want to see the skills of real people who have learned from Yunfaman. Since the real man made a speech, he can't stand his life. Hearing Yekong's promise, this was unexpected to all monks. They all stared at Yekong in astonishment, and said, "Aren't you asking for humiliation?" Even the Eagle Bald froze and asked, "Do you dare to fight? Do you think your skills may exceed me?" Yekong also hugged his arms leisurely, looking at the sky and said, "No way, how can I know whose charm is better?" "You are really arrogant," Eagle Bald growled coldly. "The monks are also talking about it? I think Yekong is really too arrogant. How strong is your spiritual strength when you are in the fourth layer of gas refining? How long is the rule? If you compare with a real bald person, that is beyond your control." Then Azuji Immortal came to persuade, "I am a real monk royal insect in Benzai. Everyone is doing business in our market. There is no need to be so rigid. I see the Xiaoziao apologize to the real eagle. This matter is over, how?" The monks also had an idea in the back. Yekong's magical goods are really cheap. If they are squeezed out, they can only buy high-priced goods from the Yi family, or go to Yunfa Pavilion to buy parallel imports, neither of which they like. So they didn't want Yekong to be squeezed away at all, and they all persuaded, yeah, it's nothing to eat a bit of loss. After all, the real eagle is in the late foundation period, even if you apologize to him now. Even Zhang Wulin looked at Yekong eagerly, hoping that he would be weak. Yekong was depressed for a while. "Don't you both like Laozi? Many of you have used my amulets, do you still not believe in the ability of Laozi?" Yekong, he was never a stubborn man, and smiled at the real worm, "Since the brother is a monk in Beizong village, and he is the master here, then please give him a testimony. I will be in public today discuss the charm technique with the real bald eagle. You have to compare with him." The real insect sighed, and said that you can't blame others if you can't find it yourself, so you nodded, "All right." Then he said, the old man has also studied some ways of making charms before. He knows that there are corresponding spiritual roots to make the magical attributes of the original attribute. I don't know which of them is he Lingen. You can compare. The meaning of the real insect is very clear. Of course, it is necessary to compare the same magic charms in the test. Otherwise, how do you divide the different magic charms? Earth, fire, water, any magic charm can be. This eagle-bald real person seems to be a master of the three spirits. Yekong didn't want many people to know that he was the root of the spirit, so he said, I'm similar to the real eagle. Since the real eagle can make fire magic charms, then we are better than fire properties. Fireball curse? Alas, the real bald man laughed shamefully. For him, the fireball curse was too simple, and he could draw it with his eyes closed. However, Yekong did not expect to laugh. The real man with a bald head was a late monk in the construction of the base, and he even spoke of the most basic magic charm of the fireball curse, which is too disappointing. Eagle Bald sneered, you only have 4 layers of gas, don't I say the firebird curse laughs at you. In his opinion, it is absolutely impossible to make a lower-ranking middle-order charm on the 4th floor of the gas refining, and according to his inquiry, there has never been a lower-ranking middle-rank charm on this kid's booth. Who knew? Yekong actually nodded, as the eagle really wants, we are better than making a firebird curse. As soon as everyone heard it, all of them were uproared. This little monk of the Bone Spirit Gate is too ignorant of the heights and heights of the heavens. He just refined the 4th layer of gas, and wanted to make a lower-level spell. The theory can be made, but even if he makes it, he can't compare with the real eagle. Yeah, isn't this trying to kill yourself? His realm, cultivation, control of fire attributes, and experience in making the firebird curse can all be compared with the real eagle. Eagle Bald smiled, and held a fist in front of the real insect. That being the case, then Eagle will go back and prepare some materials. Come here at noon and try it with Xiaoxiao. Yeah, real insects also clenched their fists at Ying Bald, looked back at Yekong and sighed, and left. The other monks who looked around also shook their heads at Yekong. It seemed that they had no hope at all. In the future, they would have no chance to buy cheap and good magic charms. Well, it looks like I can't sell anything in Beizai village in the future. Zhang Wulin sighed and began to pack the things on the booth. Hey, why don't you even believe me? Yekong asked. Of course I don't believe it. If you promised that the fireball curse could still win, but you took the initiative to make the firebird curse, have you ever made the firebird curse? Yekong smiled, no. Zhang Wulin did not expect that he answered so happily, shook his head with a bitter smile, and sighed, you. Is it better to compare with others without making the firebird curse? You are not ordinary. The nun named Huodong came up and looked at Yekong again. Yeah, so no one has confidence in me. Yekong lowered his head, took out 2 thunderfire curses, and handed them to Huodong. Fruxious fire, these are the 2 charms promised to you, and today I thank Daiyu for helping me. Huodong took the charm, took out Yang Yuandan, suddenly smiled and said, I don't know why, but I think you want to win. Yekong froze. Everyone was not optimistic about him, but this nun was the only exception. Get ready, it will be noon in more than an hour. Huodong put the thunder fire curse into the storage bracelet, smiled at Yekong, and turned away. Yekong suddenly wanted to ask her why she had confidence in herself. One is the master of the charms in the late period of the construction of the base. The firebird spell drawn in his hands is not 10,000, and there are thousands of them, and he is a low-level minor repair who has just entered the 4th layer of gas refining. He has not even painted a firebird spell before. Can any fool see the result? Hey, monk, fire east! Yekong shouted at her back. What a fire-sounding name! The female Xiu did not look back, stunned a note, moved the corner of her mouth, raised her hand and fell behind her shoulder. A golden light flew straight, Yekong raised his hand, and the golden light disappeared into his palm. Lian Rulan, good name. Yekong put a smile on the corner of his mouth. At this time, Huang Quan's ancestor said, "It's good for you to communicate more with this female nun." Yekong froze and asked, "Why? You haven't said it before." Huang Quan's ancestors laughed, "I'm an ignorant boy, listen to my ancestors and teach you. You know, there are many ancient families in the Kangnan continent. These families have a history of hundreds of thousands of years, and their family skills have been circulating for many years. The surnames of these ancient families are their proficient technology, like the famous Yi family that opened a business, the famous tailor who made armor, and the famous frontier who created swords." Oh, Yekong nodded, and said to himself, "The Yi family is a trade, the tailor is a tailor, and the Feng family says that his sword is sharp. What does the refiner do? Of course it's alchemy, stupid." "You said she belongs to the alchemy family." Yekong was shocked, and then thought of something, "No wonder she is so familiar with Ling Yaoshan. It seems that she does not need to go to Ling Yaoshan this time." Yunfu Pavilion. The real bald man was touching his shiny head and laughed. "This little monk is not only arrogant and stupid. He wants to compare with me to make a firebird curse. Don't you say he's trying to kill himself?" The monk who went to Zhang Wulin's booth was Yun Fuch's buddy. He said with a flattering smile, "This kid is really beyond our means. We at Yun Fuch sell dozens of firebird curses every month. I haven't known how many copies have been made in this life. If it is better than making a fireball amulet, and he actually requested the firebird charm, isn't he stupid?" The real bald eagle hummed coldly. "He's not stupid," he thought for a while, and then said, "Go and get some blank, low-end, medium-level rune papers," he finished, not forgetting to say, "the kind that is good." "No," said the man in a hurry. "In fact, whether it's a bald eagle or a buddy, you understand." Why did the boy ask for the firebird curse? That's because he knew that Yunfuch's firebird curse was 56 firebirds, and as long as he made 108 firebird charms, he won. "Boy, the ghost idea is good, but how could Yingmu not think of it?" The real bald man snorted coldly, raised his hand and took the teapot on the table, and sat down leisurely. "Boy, you lost." The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 123. Chapters 22 and 22. At noon, it is the hottest day of the day, and it is also the time when the fire attribute aura is the most abundant. At this time, making the magic attribute of the fire attribute can increase some success rates, which is why the real bald candidate is tested at noon. In the middle of the exchange square, there is a ring platform. For the monks, doing these is just a hand-raising task. The high-repaired monks are waving their hands to reclaim the mountains, not to mention a small platform. Many monks gathered under the stage, and everyone received the news that the boss of Yunfuch had to make a magic run with a young monk in the gas-making period, so they came on time and wanted to see a lively scene. Not only did the monks who traded come, but even the monks in Beizongjai were shocked. Even the head of Beizongjai and an elder Jadan came out to watch, but they would not stand and watch on the stage, but sit on the ring. From one side, watching up close. "How do you say that little monk has a chance of winning?" a monk asked a nun beside her. "I see." Female Xiu shook her head, expressing disapproval of Yekong. The male Sai also sighed, "This kid really does not know how to live or die. The real bald man is the first master of our barbarian. How can we lose the magic charm of the firebird curse?" Standing behind them was Gao Yuanyang, a trader of the Yi family. The old man smiled slightly and said to himself, "I don't think so." Gao Yuanyang's voice is not loud, but it has attracted the attention of several monks before and after. Indeed, the disparity in this game is really too great. Those who are optimistic about Yekong can win. I am afraid that only Gao Yuanyang will be the only one except Rulan. Several monks looked at Gao Yuanyang and shook their heads. I can't see that little monk has a little chance of winning. Some monks couldn't help but ask, brother, the game hasn't started yet, and the result has been divided. Why do you say it is not necessary? How can we separate the winner and the loser? Gao Yuanyang said with a professional smile. Don't underestimate that little monk, he often has unexpected performances. Gao Yuanyang's words only end there. No matter how other people ask, he just looks at the stage with a smile. Now announce the rules of the game. Suddenly a monk stood on the stage. It was the real insect who acted as a witness. After attracting everyone's attention, he said, the competition materials are provided by each person, and each person has 3 opportunities. In other words, it is only allowed to make 3 cards. If one of them fails to make 3, it is a loss. If one of them is successful, then there is no need to continue making. Both of them have made a successful, contrasting power, and a powerful one. To win. If the power is the same, the winner is the winner. After finishing talking, he looked back at Eaglebald and Yekong, and found that both of them nodded with a smile. Then he went back to see the elder Jadan in his door, and when he saw the elder Jadan nodded, he immediately announced, now the game start. The 2 people on the stage immediately got busy, and they stood at their desks, took out 3 blank runes, followed by psychic runes, and finally Lingmo. Seeing their movements, the audience on and off the stage also stretched their heads to see. In fact, most monks came to watch their games, not just watching the excitement. Whoever didn't want to do it with 1 hand and 2 hands from middle school, went back by themselves. How wonderful is it to make amulets? But they were a little disappointed. First of all, both of them were prepared in advance, and no one knew what it was. The real ink of the Eaglebald is dark blue liquid, and the ink of Yekong is bright red. I don't know what they are all doing. The charm is about pen and ink. Eaglebald and Yekong also look at each other to see what each other is using. First of all, if they look blank, they can't see anything from the distance. Yekong believes that this guy will not compete. Use inferior rune paper, followed by pen. A good psychic rune pen will definitely greatly increase the success rate of the rune. Yekong has a wolf eyebrow, which can be called a good thing in the psyche rune pen. I had to write, the name golden bamboo is a precious bamboo, and it is also a good rune pen. The last is ink. The quality of the ink is directly related to the power of the magic rune. Among the most expensive seeds of poisonous dragon grass, the seeds of this grass contain amazing magic power, and the spell is very powerful. Yekong chose the blood of the green pit snake just bought yesterday. Eaglebald looked at Yehong's red spirit ink from afar. He snorted. Yesterday he left first. He didn't see Yekong buying the blood of the green viper, so he was dismissive. In fact, there is a difference between the spirit beast blood as the spirit ink and the spirit grass seed. Although the spirit beast blood is more powerful than the spirit grass seed, the spirit power of the spirit beast blood is not too stable. The juice is much more stable. Therefore, the Eaglebald sniffed at the spirit beast blood taken out by Yekong. Generally, there are few real runes who are willing to use the blood of the beast to make amulets. The 2 took out their respective guys, but unexpectedly, both closed their eyes and stopped everything. Everyone is good. Brother G Dan, who watched the battle behind, praised him. Apparently he also knew a little about it. Those who couldn't wait to draw with paper and pen were definitely newbies who just had a sign. The charm requires that the state of mind is gentle, not to be disturbed by foreign objects, to make it with one's heart, and to devote all your energy, so as to make a successful magic charm, so the charmer generally chooses to be remote and uninhabited. Today, these 2 people are standing between hundreds of monks, and the noise around them is endless, which is a test for Fushi in itself. After a short while, the real bald man opened his eyes first. He looked at Yekong from the corner of his eye, but there was no expression on his face. Then he picked up his own golden bamboo charm and started making. It seems that the eagle bald is slightly better. Elder Jidan nodded again. This person who calmed down first must be a master of perennial charm. The head of Beizai village beside him also sighed. Indeed, although the real eagles often like to use the second charge, but the experience of the charm is still very rich, not just this little monk who is comparable to the spiritual master. What did Elder Jidan suddenly think of? He asked, the Bone Spirit Gate has been calm recently. I haven't heard of their martial arts for a long time. The head of Beizongjai laughed and said, after the ancestors of Yuanying of the Binglingmen sit, there are no more Yuanying monks in the door. I think their martial arts are almost over. Elder Jidan nodded and said, without the ancestors of Yuanying, the final result of this martial art is also disappearing. This is the iron law of Kangnan. If this gas repairing minor repair can perform well today. Naishi knows the head of Beizongjai and Elder Jidan nodded with smiles. They probably both attracted Yekong. It is difficult to train a rune master. Which school does not want to raise golden eggs in their home? Where's the chicken? Between the head of Beizai village and the elders, Yekong also began to take action. He picked up the psychic pen wolf brow, dipped in the blood of the green viper, and carried the pen with aura. Knife-like directions are drawn on the rune paper. Yeah, it may be that there are too many onlookers around, can't be completely calm, and it is the first person to paint a magic charm that has a very high success rate for the Firebird curse. It's not true that a bald person lives? Yeah, it's burning. A group of people waited immediately, and immediately became hustle and bustle, but the bald eagle was not affected by them. Instead, it depressed his mind, looked into the distance, took a deep breath, and raised his pen again. Both the real Man Yingying and Yekong are very quick. They are very proficient in looking at the movements. Although Yekong has not painted before, he has already outlined the Firebird curse several times in his heart, plus his past the experience of the sign, although not slow. As the real-life painting of Eagle Bald burned the rune paper, Yekong's first cheat was also not ideal. Although it was not burned, after the drawing was done, the rune paper did not react at all. Obviously, this is also a waste rune and cannot be gathered. Reiki cannot be used at all. He did not inhale like a real bald eagle, and immediately followed, Yekong also started the production of the second Firebird curse. He didn't inhale, or calm down, because he knew the reason for his mistake, because the material used for the sign this time was different from the past. This time it was the blood of a powerful beast, so there is even greater demand for the fire-powered aura injected by himself, and his own fire aura can only restrain the spiritual power of the green viper's blood. Success, just like everyone else thinks, the Eagle Bald live chess moves up. First, holding a silver light spell, frustrated everyone, he has succeeded. Let's just say, it's better that the real eagle is better. They are Yunfaman's personal disciples. Is that okay? Yeah, in the end, it's still a master. How can this little monk with a skeletal door be as good as a real eagle? The audience was noisy again, but there was a monk with a slender mustache in the crowd. Hey, what are you talking about? The test is not over yet. This is not a winner yet, the bearded monk shouted angrily. This is a winner. What's so strange about this Firebird curse? Everyone knows how powerful it is. Even the little monk at Bone Spirit Gate has successfully drawn. In time, he has lost, the former monk said unhappily. Don't say anything, a young monk in the middle of gas concentration hurriedly pulled his sleeve. Afraid of something, you can't stop talking, the monk said unhappily, but when he saw that monk with a beard turned out to be the foundation period that he couldn't see through, he was frightened to apologize. Boy Meng Lang, please ask Xianxia forgive me, the monk made a ritual. Sergeant Beard sneered, I'm not trying to overpower you, I'm just telling you, that little monk at Bone Spirit Gate, I'm bullish on him, he said he can win, he will win. Yes, Yes, the little monk nodded hurriedly, but was thinking in his heart. He said that if he could win, he would win. I also said I can win it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 124. Chapter 123. I succeeded too, just like the real person in Yingdu. Yekong also succeeded in the second one. He raised the red magic charm in his hand and signaled it to everyone. However, instead of cheering like the eagle ball just now, there was a snoring and questioning. The firebird spells we use are all silver charms. Why is he red? It's not authentic at first sight. Red, Also, even if it can be used, it also loses a bit in speed. It seems that the eagle bald is more powerful. Listening to the harsh noises around him, Lian Rulan shouted, "Come on." Yekong heard this, stood on the stage, made a V-shaped gesture to her, and then handed the spell to the real insect-proof witness. Real Insects took a spell in one hand and motioned to everyone, and then handed 2 firebird spells to the head of Beizai village. Please apprehend the head, brother. The head of the staff took 2 amulets, and with a slight draw, they could feel the vitality contained in the amulets. 2 magic charms, all valid. After the head of the announcement, everyone in the audience applauded. This firebird curse is an inferior medium-level magic charm, and the success rate is not high at all, and it is 100 monks in the audience, and 2 can be successful. This kind of success rate is amazing, and it is worth all people applauding. I can't think of Xia Xiao's young age, so the charm technology is so high, it's amazing. We didn't think there were 2 senior runes in our barbarian monk. The head of the real man smiled and complimented for 2 sentences, and then said to the real man of the bald, the real man of the hawk is indeed the first master of our barbarian and deserves it. The real person in charge wanted to compliment the 2 sentences, and negotiated with the eagle bald, announcing that the results were equally divided between the 2. But I did not expect Yekong to be mad enough, and snorted, "It will not be the first in the future." The real person in charge was annoyed for a while. Why did this kid not know how to lift? I'm also going to help you to discuss with the bald for the first place. It's good for you. When you come up, you will offend the bald real person. Is there any room for discussion? Eagle bald sneered, "I will not be number 1 in the future? Are you? I dare not say first, but at least I are better than you." The real man with the bald head laughed loudly, "It's a real word, I can't help it." Then he pointed to the audience and said loudly, "Have seen hundreds of pairs of eyes here, obviously I succeed first. Dare to ask Xia Xiao, you compare, where am I strong?" "Yeah, Xia Xiao, since you lose, don't slap your tongue. It's useless to talk about it, you still have to say a little less." The real person in charge could not help but persuade. Their voices have spread to the audience, and they all watched as they shook their heads for Yekong to die. If you lose, you will lose. If you lose and say no, it is shameful and despise. But Yekong also laughed. "I laugh, you don't understand the importance of spells. What is the most important thing about spells? Are you drawing fast? How fast can you draw? The enemy kills you, you have time to paint." The real bald man knew what he was thinking, and sneered, "The most important thing is the effect of the spell. The most important thing is the power of attacking the spell." Yekong nodded and said, "Yes." Now neither of the 2 firebird mantras is cast, who knows how powerful it is? How is the difference between victory and defeat? You did come to this trick, I have already prepared. Eagle bald smiled, "I can't see the coffin and weep. Boy, let's try the power, the old man will let you lose your conscience." The head of Beizongjai shook his head, and originally wanted to mediate from it. "Now I have to fight for your life. Hey, this kid is really arrogant. You draw a red color spell, is it better than others? However, he couldn't speak well anymore. He took out a spell and said, "You each cast your own firebird curse, stand on the stage and attack a row of stone pillars opposite the square. The power will be judged by everyone." "I'm coming first," said Yingju, a real person, who wanted to see Yekong's desperate expression. The real bald man grasped the firebird curse he drew, and his fingers resolved it, and a few deep and obscure mantras were spit out in his mouth. "Go with." As the eagle bald drank in a low voice, the firebird curse instantly turned into countless flame birds. The bird raised his neck and sang in unison, "Oh!" Then countless birds flew madly at a stone pillar 100 meters away. This firebird curse was amazingly powerful. After casting, it hit the stone pillar, and the sound of whistling continued. The stone pillar was suddenly surrounded by Mars and sparks, which was spectacular. "Oh, obediently, really powerful. If I hold up the spirit shield and carry it hard, I'm afraid that 10 can't resist it," a middle-aged monk sighed. "The power is really amazing," more monks murmured. Then someone shouted, "It's 108 firebirds, it's really 108. This is the most authentic firebird curse." The real bald person laughed at Yekong, haha, and the smile meant self-evident. "Boy, don't you just expect me to release 64 firebirds? Do I use fake and shoddy products against you? Are you stupid?" The eagle's firebird curse is truly amazing. Even the head of the real man couldn't help but admire, and then he motioned to Yekong, "Xiaoziao, it's up to you." The real person in charge is also sighing. The power of the firebird curse of the real bird of eagle is the only thing he has seen in his life. He doesn't believe that Yekong's firebird curse will surpass that of the bald bird. But then he was surprised. "I saw Yekong not slack or slow, but he also made a decision, said a spell, flipped his lips, and spit out the word, 'Go.'" Oh, a large swarm of flamingos suddenly emerged. The flamingo, with its fat and strong body, was louder than before. Boom! When a flaming bird first hit a stone pillar, the stone pillar shook unbearably. I just marveled at the mid-gas refining monk who was so powerful with the magical spell of Eagle Bald. This time, the eyes were about to come out. These firebird mantras, if I hold up a spiritual shield, I'm afraid I can only support one. Yekong's firebird curse is more than one. Boom boom boom, a total of 162 sounded. The last big bang was that Shizu couldn't stand such frequent and strong attacks, and collapsed. The large square was dead. Then, a murmur came to him, "Oh my god, is this middle-grade magic charm? There are actually 162. Then, applause finally rang, and for a long time, even the head and elders of Beizongjai could not help clapping. This power is too powerful. Not to mention the barbarians, that is, Kangnan, who can make the firebird curse to this effect. I am afraid that this is the only person." Yekong didn't expect that the firebird curse he made could reach such a powerful level. He secretly called fluke in the bottom of his heart. Others didn't know that he knew it very well. The main reason was that the blood of the green viper was used. What? The blood of this green viper is indeed astonishingly expensive, and the effect is amazing. Looking at the eagle bald real man who couldn't close his mouth in surprise, Yekong dropped a sentence, "I hope the real eagle will remember your bet." After that, Yekong walked out of the ring. "Little thief, before the game, no one is optimistic about you, only me." Lianrulan followed Yekong on the streets of Fangxi. "Thank you for the love of Lian girl." Yekong now sees Lianrulan a lot. "Thanks for being worthless. You have to show your sincerity." Lianrulan looked at Yekong with big eyes, his eyes waved. Well, then I'll sell you a 162 firebird curse cheaply," Yekong said hardly. Lianrulan gritted her teeth. The boy was too stingy to send it. It was for sale. I was dizzy. Is it so painful to give a firebird curse? I'm in the door, those men are rushing to send me things. You are really generous. Lian Rulan sent a clear black and white eye. Ye Kong smiled bitterly, you do nt know what the girl is. Although this firebird curse is powerful, the production materials are rare, and the price is high. I spent almost all of my savings to get a small bottle. If it weren't for the girl, others would give me more money, and I wouldn't sell it. I also want to say something. Lian Rulan felt much more comfortable, but she quickly guessed what Ye Kong called the material. Huh, it's still secret? Isn't it the blood of the green viper? If you didn't raise the price with you on purpose, you wouldn't have bought it. Ye Kong stared at her behind her. Damn, Lao Tzu's secret recipe was guessed by you. If it could not beat you, hum. Lian Rulan didn't look back, but yelled, I know your recipe, do you want to kill me? Ye Kong laughed, no. Don't think about it, don't recognize it, no breeding thief. Ye Kong was scolded by her, and laughed, I really didn't want to kill myself. I laughed, when the girl first did the killing. You little thief. Lian Rulan's face suddenly turned red. She lived so big, and no one had ever said such vulgar words to her. It's not a joke that offends the middle of the construction period. Ye Kong saw that she was going to run away, hurry and laughed, Lian, girl, I am already vulgar, and often refuse to speak, please blame the girl. Huh. See how quickly you apologize, this time it's okay. Lian Rulan turned her eyes and added a sentence, then you double compensate me. Ye Kong felt distressed for a while, 2 firebird curses. However, Lian Rulan is not at all interested in that thing. When others think that the thing is treasure, she is very disdainful. She has many powerful instruments. The super high firebird curse is compared with the best magic instruments. It is much worse. Otherwise, please invite me for a meal. Lian Rulan suddenly saw the restaurant next to the street and said, the larva of the octopus fly, I heard that it was delicious and deep fried. I can add spiritual power, I have never eaten it. Ye Kong shouted, sister, the larva of the fly is a maggot, a deep-fried maggot, just the kind that digs in the pit, do you really want to eat? I vomit, Lian Rulan retched twice. Forget it, don't say it. Let's not eat the bear paw of a 2-tailed spirit bear. Lian Rulan thought again. Bear paws, Ye Kong smiled and said, do you know? Bear paws are around. If you eat the right bear paw, it's fine, but in case it is the left bear paw. Do you know? Bear rub with the left bear's paw. Can you tell whether the bear's paw on the plate is left or right? Lian Rulan was speechless, this boy was really disgusting, and he lost all his appetite. That's it, don't eat. When Rulan wanted to leave, Ye Kong suggested, in fact, there is something worth eating. Lian Rulan asked, what? Golden whip of tigers and wolf beasts, aphrodisiac and tonic. After eating, it will increase the satisfaction between male and female nuns. It is the most suitable for dual monks, and the price is cheap. Go, a harsh roar erupted in the streets of Fang City. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 125. Chapters 124. After comparing with the real person of Yingdu, Ye Kong became famous now. Wherever he goes, someone will greet him, draw relationships, and climb friendships. Even if the head of Beizongjai comes to visit in person, Ye Kong breaks away from Binglingman and joins Beizongjai. In fact, Ye Kong has always wanted to join a cultivation practice, so that no matter whether the elixir or safety is guaranteed. However, after all, he is a northerner, how can he join the barbarian sect, and more importantly, his elder brother is still fighting with the barbarian soldiers at the border. Although Beizongjai is unlikely to be involved in mortal wars, it is difficult to say in the future, and spreading it will also be a blow to the Ye family. Of course, Ye Kong is not good at rejecting it explicitly. After all, he is still doing business in Beizongjai. He vaguely replied that he is still a monk at the Bone Spirit Gate, and he will be cast aside by deceiving his master. However, if Beizai village needs help, he can help. The head of Beizai village persuaded several times and found that the effect was not satisfactory. Although the real Eagle Bald lost the game, the boy didn't want to confess his account. Yunfuge was still open every day, but the business was light, and most of the monks turned to Yekong to buy spiritual charms. Unfortunately, Yekong's cultivation is relatively low, making too many magic charms, and the spiritual power can't keep up with it. Therefore, in front of Zhang Wulin's booth, there are often crowded people waiting, but after waiting for a long time, he can only tell they are all sold out today. Yekong made a profit, and Zhang Wulin also made a lot at this moment. He has more respect for Yekong and laments in his heart. Fortunately, he didn't leave the batch of magic charms at first. Similarly, the Yi family has also made a lot of money. The business of Yunfuge has disappeared, and the magic charms made by Yekong cannot keep up, which has made Yi family cheaper. Gao Yuanyang also visited Yekong, hoping that he could join the Yi family, but Yekong did not agree. After all, the Yi family is a business name. Yekong just wants to make a fortune and does not expect to do this for a long time. If he is immersed in the system every day, where does he spend time practicing? The Fang market in a few days soon ended, but many monks did not leave. They were still waiting for Yekong to make a spell. They all said that Nanyejia Lingfu would not buy it. Yekong can't watch the spirit stone delivered to the door without making money, right? The idea of returning to the southern capital was delayed again. The blink of an eye is half a month away, and Yekong's spirit stone has reached 4,000. For an immortal practitioner, this is already an astronomical figure, and Yekong is preparing to rest for a while. Look back at the southern capital. But that day, there was another accident that made him unable to leave. Little thief, how many charms did you make today? Lian Rulan was really boring, and stayed here every day at Yekong, so Yekong had to face her face charm. No way, people said, if you dare not let me enter the battlefield, I will blast away your spiritual practice. Good luck, Ten Yekong said helplessly, because this girl came every day, making Huan Quan's ancestors difficult to produce small swords. Fortunately, he can practice in the small swords. Don't come out. 10 pieces of middle-level magic charms, wow, you have hundreds of spirit stones again, Lian Rulan exclaimed. I said, did this girl look after you? Huan Quan's ancestors' voice sounded in Yekong's mind. It's impossible, everyone is at the peak of the middle period of foundation construction. I can enter the later period of foundation construction at any time, and I only enter the refining gas. The gap is not so big, Yekong answered. What's the matter? Get her there. Would you like my ancestors to give you a set of Shuang cultivation techniques? He, she is so much taller than you make a lot of money, Huan Quan ancestor smiled shamelessly. Yekong smiled bitterly. How can it be, people are mutated Lincoln, hey, I am a full-fledged mixed spiritual root, even if she agrees, her teacher will not agree. Do you think I will be chased and killed by her teacher? Hey, stingy, you don't speak as soon as you talk about Lingxi, as if I borrowed it from you, Lian Rulan pouted angrily when the boy didn't speak. Yekong laughed, how can there be? But if you care about my spirits so much, do you want to manage my account? The so-called want to manage my account, you must go to my concubine first, do you? Get off. Inferior little white thief, Lian Rulan stomped her foot and hummed, ignore you like this again. Seems like I'm ignorant of you. Yekong also snorted. Girl Lian, I said, can you give Yi Rong a good girl? What a ugly thing to do. What's most depressing is that you still put on the look of your little daughter's house. A mustache man is coquettish, Xiaoxiu I look really creepy. You go. Who will be spoiled with you? You should go to your Tibetan spring house girl to spoil you. Lianrulan didn't know what was happening, her face turned red, and her heart began to pound. Don't say it, I really want to go to Zhangchun Tower, oh my Feng Si Niang Yekong sighed. It's a shame, you can't help but say that woman is almost the same size as your mother. Lianrulan didn't know where the grievance came from. Where is she? She's only 30. My mother is in her 30s. Yekong thought shamelessly that she would be so active to play like this. You little girl know what you are. A 30-year-old, a 30-something, isn't that about the same? Lianrulan shouted with staring eyes, dirty. Shameless. Disgusting. BT. You're not my mother, do you care so much? Yekong whispered, and asked again, Lian, I heard that, you are a magic medicine mountain. What do you want to do? Lianrulan immediately became vigilant, and then grinned, would you like to play tricks with this girl, get some elixir or something? Then he suddenly changed his face and hummed, you want to beauty? For elixir, bring a spirit stone. If there is no spirit stone, you can exchange a magic charm. Hey, don't turn your face so ruthless, okay, I just gave you 2 super level firebird spells last time, wouldn't you do me a favor? Yekong straightened out. When Lianrulan heard it, she immediately lifted her small waist. You don't have to say this, it's okay. The more you say, the more I get angry. It is obviously that you owe me too. In the end, I still received 200 spirit stones. It didn't take more than 600 spirits to buy the blood of the green viper. Is a super level firebird curse 100 spirit stones expensive? I don't need to spend spiritual power? There are also failed parts, I have lost my life. I do sell 1 for 2 spirit stones. The air hummed. Lianrulan also felt that she was losing money and did not continue, but laughed again. Then what elixir do you need? Let me talk about it. It doesn't matter, I will also give you a cheap price, very favorable, and I will not kill you. Looking at her look like a weasel giving the chicken a New Year's greeting, Yekong knew that this girl had killed someone, and that would not be polite. But there is no way, who said that the elixir he needed was not sold elsewhere? That's it? My mother has a small melanin scar on her face. I want to find an elixir of beauty and whitening to help her get rid of the black scar. Oh, the beauty and whitening elixir, I haven't done it. Yekong fainted, hey, are you a woman, you haven't done it for beauty and whitening? Who are you lying to? You don't want to help explain it? Lianrulan was angry, hey, thief, do you need to use those elixirs for beauty? This girl is born with beauty. Yekong shook his head, this Kangnan continent is the soil, the beauty concept is too backward. Lian girl, your ideas are outdated. Even the beautiful flowers need to be maintained and pruned. Even if you are born beautiful, if you don't pay attention to maintenance, you will age in advance, Yekong reminded. Lianrulan snorted, you are really a new cultivator, don't you know Ding Yandan? This girl will not be old until 800 years old. This is the case. This Kangnan continent really can't use the idea of the earth to think about it. Yekong thought about it and said, even if you take Ding Yandan, it still needs beauty. Your face is beautiful, but the rest of you, are there any flaws? Tell you, in our hometown, the beauty of women is not only in the face and hair, but in all parts of the body. The secret of nails, toes, armpit hair, and even the legs of a woman the sight has already entered the field of beauty. Dirty, Lianrulan heard her face flushed and said, this guy's hometown is really shameless. That part also needs beauty. Who is it for beauty? Can you walk on the street without pants? Well, don't tell you this. It doesn't matter whether you are beautiful or not, but you can't find the elixir that my mother needs. Let's make a price. Yekong is rich now and speaks with confidence. Thrown out hard. Lianrulan thought about it and said, some of our sisters in the mountains have done it. Although I haven't done it, I can go back and ask you about it. or look for some ancient books. I think this elixir is for us. It's not difficult to say. Yekong was overjoyed. Okay, girl, you really are my reborn parents. No, reborn grandparents. Lian Ruolan fluttered a laugh and said, dirty. How old is this girl? Yekong smiled, and came over and said with a grin, refining girl, let's start now. No, Lian Ruolan smiled bitterly, I can't go back to the mountain now, the year of training is not over yet, there is still a month, go back at that time. While talking, Zhang Chuanyan suddenly flew in. Yekong raised his hand, took the note in his hand, and explored it with spiritual power. He couldn't help worrying. Lian Ruolan found that he frowned, and couldn't help asking, what happened? What happened? Yekong smiled bitterly. People are afraid of the famous pigs. They have come here. Lian Ruolan chuckled, threw a water-eyed grimace, and yelled, who told you to pretend to be a monk at Bone Spirit Gate? The one named Xiahui was killed by you. Now how do you explain it? The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 126. Chapter 125. What to do? Yekong rubbed his hands. If he was recognized by the monks at Bone Spirit Gate, everyone would doubt his identity. It would be okay if he acknowledged that he was a northern monk. Beizongjai must also doubt his purpose. What else can you do? Kill him directly, Lian Ruolan said coldly. But killing is not allowed in Fangxi. If I kill the same door in Fangxi, I am afraid that Beizongjai is not good at explaining Gilingman. I must be detained and wait for the elders of Gilingman to deal with it. Yekong said sadly that he regretted posing as Xiahui's identity. That's simple, lure him out of Fangxi and kill him, Lian Ruolan thought again. But in case he refuses to go out, Yekong thought about it, and suddenly thought of a way, but he had to refinish Ruolan to help. What? Do you want me to do this kind of thing? After listening to Yekong's method, Lian Ruolan's beautiful eyes stared at the boss. This girl is the core disciple of the Ming school, sacrifice her color? Too much, right? Yekong begged, refining girl, if you are Sister Lan, you can help. In fact, this does not require you to sacrifice any color, but it is just a wink. That wouldn't work. Why would I give a wink to a little monk with a small bone spirit gate? If I spread it out, how would I see someone? Lian Ruolan threw a grimace. Oh, you don't have to wink, but you have to talk to him and use this quietly. Yekong took out a green silk incense bag from the storage bag. This is the Kiloo sachet that was snatched from the woman with the surname Lu before. The role of this sachet has been said before, which is to make people have strong physiological needs, and even hallucinations. The most powerful way is its transmission. It's Reiki, and if a monk doesn't pay attention, he will be enlightened. When the monk is lost by the sachet, and then kills it without spiritual power, it can be said that God is unaware of the ghost. PK is prohibited in the formation method of Beizongjai. It is detected from the aspect of spiritual power. If the spiritual power fluctuates strongly, the disciples will find it. And if you don't use spiritual power to kill people by mortal means, the formation method will not be able to sense it. Oh, if I'm just a few words busy, then I help. Lian Ruolan took the scent bag, looked at it curiously, and scolded, you shameless thief, you just use this stuff to harm women's right. Yekong explained, the refining girl clearly checked, I haven't used this thing after getting it. Besides, this thing is not effective for mortal women. Oh, then you can just harm the female monk, Lian Ruolan said aloud. Yekong smiled bitterly. What harms a monk? I haven't played a monk yet. Shameless, Lian Ruolan blushed when he said that he didn't want to talk to him about the subject, put away the scent bag and walked outside the array, saying, send a voice and let him come over. Yekong hurriedly followed and shouted, refining girl, it is best to use the original look. If it is a beauty, this thing will work faster. Natural beauty like the refining girl, the appearance of the sinking fish and the wild goose. Will surely the one who fascinated the kid was someone who was honest, such as Xiaoxiu. When he saw the girl Lian, she didn't keep her soul, she didn't possess her body, she was upside down. Sure enough, women like others to boast of her appearance. Lian Ruolan smiled on her face, and looked back. It seems that this girl also needs to refine her soul and collect the souls of people like you who run wildly. When Lian Ruolan turned back, she had peeled off the easy-faced face on her face, exposing her original peerless face, her curved eyebrows, full eyes, tall nose, and a touch of pink lips. Wonderful! Seeing Lian Ruolan disappearing outside of the spiritual practice array, Ye Kong's eyes condensed. I look back at Bai Mice hung with a smile. That smile just now really takes my soul away. Huang Quan's ancestors interjected, just use Kiloo sachet immediately and give this girl. Today is not the day when Fangxi opened. Fangxi is empty, but in the open square, there is still a booth with people coming and going. This is Zhang Wulan's booth. Beside the booth stood a barbarian-dressed monk. He was young, good-looking, tall, with red lips and white teeth. Although he wore barbarian indigo clothing, he learned the talents of the northern people and shook a folding fan. From a distance, it is also personable and smart, so that the young girl Xiu looked back, and when he looked at his cultivation, it turned out to be the immortal, and those female nuns regarded Xiu Bo as worthless littering. People are flat, mad bees and butterflies, will my most hopeful disciple Xia Ye see you, Xia Yi snorted scornfully, ignoring the fall-rotten spinach. Indeed, a 25-year-old immortal who has succeeded in building a foundation should be able to be proud of himself. As the leader of the 3 generations of disciples of Xia Lingmen, Xia Yan naturally has his eyes above the top. This time, he went out to practice after the construction of the base, and just happened to return from an important task of the division. After passing through Beizai Fangfang City, he happened to hear that there was a senior charmer named Xia Hui. Come. In fact, he and Xia Hui are still distant relatives, and the relationship is not bad. Xia Hui's qualifications are average, and he usually receives little help from him. He used to help this distant brother by himself. Looking at the stalls from time to time, Xia Yi laughed, Zhang Daiyu, business is good. Zhang Wulan did not know that Ye Kong was impersonating. He thought that the relationship between his fellow teachers and brothers was really good, and he laughed, Xianxia, now this business is nothing. When the city opened, the business was hot. Now Xia Xiao is famous, and many people come here. Xia Xian nodded, and said in his heart that he had been slow to improve, and dared that he was studying the art of charm. How many spirits can I earn that day? Xia Yan asked again. As it is now, 300 spirit stones a day is stable. The key is that the system is slow. Supply is in short supply. If Xia Xiao controls faster, there are thousands of spirit stones in a day, Zhang Wulan honestly said. Xia Xie vomited her tongue. Is her mother coming too fast? As the most promising disciple of Lao Ling Men, Lao Tzu has only 30 spiritual stones a month, and only 360 a year. I dare to love him for one day. Xia Yun was jealous, and he already wanted to make a plan. This time, he took it back with interest. He is so rich, he borrowed thousands of spirit stones with him. Wow, thousands of spirit stones, I dare not think about it before. Xiaoling was drooling, and he saw a golden meteor flying in the distance. Zhang Wulan raised his hand and took it. After a brief check, Zhang Wulan said, Xianchang, Xia Xiao is making a sign in the VIP building. It is not convenient to greet you, please go there yourself. Good boy, when you really get rich and do recognize your poor relatives, your elder brother will not greet you in person. Xia Ye was a little displeased, but think about it, maybe it's a sign? If you watch one side and learn one hand and two hands, can you not enter the 100 spirit stones every day? Xia Yuan decided to ask Xia Hui where he lived, and he found the past. When he came to the VIP building, the gatekeeper greeted Xiao Yan, dare to ask Xianxiang, but Binglingman's Yi. Exactly. Then please, inside, Master Xia Hui is waiting for you inside. Xiao Yan raised his hand, and forbidden to crack a door hole in front of the door. Master Xia Hui, Xia Yan haha smiled and stepped into the ban. This poor boy is really rich and lives in such a good place. Xia Xian cursed jealously, passed through a corridor on both sides and entered the VIP building. As soon as he entered the door, Xia Yan's eyes suddenly lighted. Wow, beautiful. Super beauty. I saw a beautiful lady standing in the middle of the hall. Although she was wearing a commoner, it was difficult to hide her peerless makeup and graceful figure. What a fairy-like woman. Xia Ye praised it in his heart and thought, is this woman in Xia Hui's room? However, when Xia Yi looked at the realm of this nun, she immediately felt that it was impossible. People had already reached the peak of the middle period, and they were a bit higher than themselves. How could they be tempted by such a little monk? But this Taoist friend is Xia Dao and Xia Dai from Binglingman. Xia Ying was thinking about his confusion, and saw that fairy-like nun greeted him. Yeah, dare to ask this sister here. Xia Sun quickly put out what she thought was the most charming smile. I'm a friend of Xia Hui's friends, and I'm waiting for him at this moment. Lian Rulan grinned, and saw that Xia Ling's 3 souls lost most of them. Oh, I'm Xia Hui's far-room brother, is also his uncle. Xia Yun wondered in his heart that although he was a little worse than the female nun's cultivation, he was also a fairy in the foundation period. Depending on his appearance, he might be able to hold a beautiful woman. Lian Rulan laughed and said, oh, I am the Liao Rulan of the Elixir Mountain. At the first hearing, Xia Yi was more tempted. You must know that this elixir of mountain alchemy is famous. If you soak this beautiful girl and become a lover, you can not only enjoy the beauty, but also have a stronger helper than yourself. Importantly, even the elixir used in practice is not worried. Xia Sun was out of her mind, so she listened to Lian Rulan and smiled again. Please wait for a while, Xia Hui is making a sign for me. I am worried that he knows that the elder brother will be distracted, so please make your own opinion. Please come first. I also hope brother Xia forgive me. Lian Rulan was a blessing again, and the charming posture and movement saw that Xia Ying had an impulse to wait for it. It doesn't matter. Xia Sun quickly put away her eyes like a wolf and tiger, thinking that she was not so anxious. Even if she saw beautiful women, she would not be so excited as she is today. Then how would I accompany brother Xia to chat? Lian Rulan suggested again. Okay, you can't ask for it. Xia Ying felt that her urge was more intense, and quickly mobilized spiritual restraint. Xia Yan knows that he has already been enlightened. The medicine power of this kilo sachet is transmitted through the Reiki. The more he uses the power, the deeper he is poisoned. Men have this virtue. Lian Rulan looked funny at Xia Yi's eyes. Holding back a smile at the moment, he said, Brother Xia, just sit down and talk in the chair over there. It is good. To the reader. To celebrate the reopening of Teaching Dragons, the Japanese book fair broke out on June 1st. Please don't slap the bricks. Thank you teacher Zioman. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 127. Chapter 126 Prescription. Brother Xia, what can you talk about? After sitting down, Lian Rulan opened her red lips and smiled softly. Of course it's talking about men and women. Xia 11 was about to say something about men and women almost reflexively, and when he said it, he was startled. These women in the martial arts are most afraid of men doing this. Look, they must be stable. As the core disciple of Sun Lingman, Xia Sun also contacted a lot of big school disciples on weekdays, so he knew the temperament of these women. He hurriedly changed his words, talk about the differences between the men and women in cultivation. Lian Ruolan giggled and asked, men and women are both practicing the same exercises, what's the difference? It seems that there is no difference between the male and female nuns. Xia Yi smiled awkwardly. He can be described as very hard at the moment. While restraining the excitement in the body with spiritual power, he also pretended to chat with Lian Ruolan as if nothing happened, which was really terrible. Fake seriousness doesn't matter, but you can take spring medicine and fake seriousness. Xia Yan only felt a heat current flowing throughout his body, getting hotter and hotter, like a fever. Brother Xia, what is your main skill in Bone Spirit Gate? I haven't heard that Bone Spirit Gate also has research on charm making. I don't know if Brother Xia will also make charms said, but she increased her spiritual power to urge the sachet. Xia Yan seemed to see countless women shaking in front of her, and smiled charmingly, beckoning to herself. Hallucinations are hallucinations. Xia Yan shook her head and shook those shadows away, and she heard Lian Ruolan beckoning herself. Brother Xia, talk to you. Ah! What did you say? When Xia Yang looked up, her eyes were already flushed, and her face had abnormal sweat beads. This sachet is really powerful. With a few words of work, this is what a building fairy is like. I don't know what the dead boy did to make such a shameless thing. Lian Ruolan scolded Yakong for shamelessness, but a surprised expression on her face. Yeah, brother, are you hot? You are sweating. It's hot. Xia Yuxin said terribly, what happened today? Could NT he have written it himself? But when he checked the whole body with Reiki, he felt nothing strange. This Luoluo sachet was really powerful. It was poisoned by accident, and the whole body didn't feel strange when I checked it. If it wasn't for Huan Quan's ancestors to remind him, even if Yakong was so savvy, he would have hit the road. Hot off your coat, Lian Ruolan said with a smile. Can't do it. Xia Sun quickly refused. Liandeo friends, I'll go out and take a turn first. Xia Sun held back the exhaling heat in his nose, he already felt the weirdness here, and wanted to leave before talking. Xia Yan was originally fascinated by medicine, and immediately collapsed. Girl refining, Xia Yi swallowed and swooped up. He was completely lost in the medicine, and rushed to hug that arm, his mouth was pro and cricket. Oh, brother Xia, what are you doing? Suddenly a man's voice came from above his head. Xiaoling looked up and found that she did not know when a teenager appeared in front of her, and she was holding the man's arm. Although Xia Yan was fascinated by the medicine power, the men and women still distinguished clearly, and at the moment they shake off Yakong's arm and pounced on the side of Lian Ruolan. Girl, beauty, don't run. Xia Yi mumbled and rushed to Lian Ruolan. Brother Xia, didn't you come to see me? I'm here, what are you doing? Yakong grabbed him. Get off. I'm looking for Xia Hui. Xia Xian was particularly annoyed by the man who upset him. Yakong laughed, I am Xia Hui. Are you Xia Hui? Who is Xia Hui? Xia Min blinked, pushed Yakong away, and rushed towards Lian Ruolan, screaming wildly, Lian, Ruolan, I really want to, I want. Haha, then you come. Lian Ruolan chuckled and ran in the room, while Xiaoling stumbled behind him. It looks like this kid's mind is completely lost. Yakong sighed and sat down on the side chair. Come, you catch up with this girl and give it to you. Lian Ruolan laughed, running around the tables and chairs in the middle of the hall. Xiaoling gasped, and Per followed. Girl Lian, I didn't expect you to hook a man. Yakong sighed with tea, it seems that every woman is born to hook a man. Hook your head, I just tease him for a while, hurry up, you shoot. Lian Ruolan took 2 turns and was a bit annoyed. Looking up, Yakong was posing for a tea-drinking drama. Expression. Wow, play for a while, the beautiful girl teases the wolf, and it is really thrilling. It is best to tear a skirt or a shirt to make it more like that. Yakong laughed leisurely. Dead thief, this girl is here to help you. You look at the joke. Lian Ruolan wasn't bothered, and laughed, little thief. If you don't take another shot, I will feed him to wake up the panacea. Our elixir of the mountain, to ensure he eats it? Sure enough, he is a master of the mountain of elixir. Yekong felt that the drama was enough, and stood up. The small sword weapon was already in hand. Well, let me take the shot. Yekong is a master of martial arts even if he does not use spiritual power. He now stands up in a shadow dance position and sees a white shadow over the big table like a thara, just hitting Xia Yi's back. Bang, Yekong had already pressed Xia Yi to the ground, and he shook his hair. Does the girl Lian think I am handsome? It's so handsome, it's ugly, Lian Ruolan said insincerely. Yekong laughed, and said, very gentleman, I'm going to kill the pig. In order to do such things as a beauty, I asked the girl to turn her head. Well, this girl sees more murder scenes. Lian Ruolan turned her head though she said so. In fact, she still has a good opinion of Yekong's movements. After all, it is a shadow and dance pose that has been lost for thousands of years. One movement is so handsome, much better than those scenes of standing throwing magic instruments. However, Lian Ruolan was very dissatisfied, and she couldn't get used to Yekong's stinking buttocks all day long, but she also had no way to torture Yekong. But when she looked back at the bowl of tea on the table, she suddenly had an evil thought. Yekong's killing of Xiaoling was clean and neat. He raised his hand and wiped his neck with the sword. Xiaoling had no resistance at all, and he didn't know how to die. Kill Xia Ying, take off his storage bag without any rush, and hung it around his waist. Then Yekong took out Zhao Yun from his storage bag, and made a move on Xia Yan's body, and the clear smoke-like soul appeared. Tao Yu's life, I've been killed by you, you let me reincarnate, Xia Sun's soul begged. Incarnation, reincarnation? You are wasted by your self-cultivation. When Yekong raised his hand, he started his soul, sucked into Xia's soul, go in honestly and become my main soul. Thousands of years later, maybe you can still it as a ghost. Yekong took Xiaoling's soul into the soul-calling soul. This soul-calling soul had a main soul in the foundation period, which was much stronger at the moment, but unfortunately, the making of this soul was too rough. I can no longer accept other souls. Why do you want to practice such a wicked magical instrument, and this thing is so famous that it can be used decently, Lian Ruolan said unhappily. Indeed, there are too many killings created by refining the soul, which are generally not used by the northern people. Only the magicians, and the barbarians between Xianxia and Xiama, like to refine this thing. Yekong tossed the bodies of Xiahunyu and Xiao into storage bags, and then laughed, the girl is wrong. In fact, for the same instrument, there is no difference between innocence and negligence, only the good and evil of the user. There is no distinction between magical instruments. It is like a massage stick. Can you say it is indecent? It also solves the needs of women. Many women are not derailed because of the massage stick. Lian Ruolan couldn't understand what she was listening to, what massage sticks, or derailment. Forget it, I didn't understand what I told you. Yekong waved his hand and looked up. Lian Ruolan held a bowl of tea in his hand. Without waiting for Lian Ruolan to speak, Yekong took the tea and laughed, refining girls really serve people. Yeah, Lian Ruolan had an intoxicating smile on her face, but she was thinking in her heart that the thief would drink quickly and wait to see me pack you up. But Yekong didn't drink tea, but smiled, dedicate yourself to nothing, steal it if you don't commit it. The girl is so good to me, I'm afraid it has a purpose. Lian Ruolan took out the Maluo scented bag and laughed, these scented bags are too despicable and evil. Sooner or later, if you harm a woman, you might as well give it to the girl. What? No, this sachet will hurt women if I put it in you, and won't it hurt men if you put it in you, Yekong countered. Che, are you as shameless as I am? Are you looking for a man who needs this thing, Lian Ruolan retorted. On the surface, the girl is ice clean, pure, and flawless, but there is a saying that people are not beautiful. There are a lot of coats and beasts who are laughing and laughing behind the scenes. Xianxia laughed and took a sip of water. Dead thief, dare to call this girl a beast? But since you drink water, haha, you can't help it? Lian Ruolan smiled and asked, whether you give it? No. Yekong rejected her unreasonable request. Lian Ruolan laughed, you can't help but give it to you, haven't you noticed something wrong in your body? Girl Lian. What do you give me to drink? Yekong growled. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 128. Chapter 127 Reality Show. It's a good thing, huh, the elixir of the Elixir Mountain makes your Reiki temporarily unable to operate. Lian Ruolan giggled, dead little thief, you also hit my way. What is the purpose of that girl to me? Yekong said coldly. Lian Ruolan's eyes rolled around, and she smiled, relax, I won't kill you, but you didn't finish revenge on me last time, so I want to continue my revenge. Yekong was depressed for a while, this woman was really embarrassed, so she scolded her, so why bother? Then you say, what are you going to do? I want to see your ugliness after you got this bag, haha, Lian Ruolan finished, swaying the green bag in front of Yekong. Hey kid, do you always smell bad? I am going to see if you got the sachet like Xiayi. You female gangster, you are shameless. You are indecent. Yekong didn't expect her to be so BT, she wanted to deal with herself like this. Haha, I'm going to be nasty, how about it? Lian Ruolan smiled proudly. Huh, this is transmitted through Reiki. I don't have Reiki now, how can you poison me? Yekong snorted. Lian Ruolan smiled close to Yekong and exhaled like Lan, yeah, you are right, but what if I pour some medicine powder in the sachet into your mouth? You female hooligan. Yekong said with gritted teeth. The more Yekong became angry, the more happy Lian Ruolan was. In fact, she didn't really want to do this. She just intentionally scared the kid so that he would not be too arrogant in the future. How's it? Are you afraid? Lian Ruolan smiled like a flower on her face. It's the first time that I've known this boy, and I'm worried. Frightened Yekong snorted, and suddenly laughed. You female BT, since you want to see the ugly state of a man, you don't need to use a scented bag for me, I will show it to you. Performance, Lian Ruolan raised her eyebrows. I heard Yekong say again, beauty, if you are in my hometown, you must be a woman who likes to watch movies, but there is no such film in the Kangnan mainland, so I have to sacrifice and perform real people for the girl show. Yekong said as he untied his belt. Lian Ruolan couldn't take it anymore, and his face was scary. Ascend to the disciple. Lian Ruolan took a sip and ran away with a blush. Hey, don't run, I'm generous, watch for free. Hey, when can I use Reiki? Half an hour. Lian Ruolan Kangja fled. Sure enough, it was a big killer against women. As soon as it was ready to come out, she scared away the female monks in the middle of the construction period. Yekong lowered his shirt and laughed. It's boring, why didn't she jump up? Huan Quan's ancestor said endlessly. Yekong thought he was asleep, annoyed. Hey, ancestor, why didn't you remind me just now? Don't tell me you don't know. Huan Quan's ancestor smiled slyly, I see that she hasn't harmed your heart. It's like hanging a long line of fish to hang a big fish. Just count it, rest assured. If she really wants to kill you, I will definitely take it. Without spiritual power, Yekong didn't dare to go out, returned to his house, opened up the spiritual practice array, and waited for a while. The spiritual power recovered a bit, then he took out Xiayi's storage bag to check the loot. At first glance, I was a little disappointed. There were only over 300 spirit stones in Xiafei's storage bag, and there were more than 10 inferior artifacts. They were probably obtained from killing and winning treasures, but he was also in the early days of building the base. Minor repairs, those instruments are very garbage. In addition, there is a Sun Mother ring of Chinese-style instrument, which seems to be a treasure commonly used by Xia Yang, and now belongs to Yekong. This bone spirit gate looks really poor. Yekong couldn't help but sigh. Xiaxian, the core disciple, had this inventory, no wonder he had killed Xia Hui at the beginning, almost poor. Huan Quan's ancestors sighed, these schools that don't have Yuanying ancestors are so poor. Yekong asked, why? Is there no fixed income in his door, or 1,000 years of accumulation? Huan Quan's ancestor shook his head. No matter how many spirit stones are stored in the gate, they are still eating mountains and mountains. The best fixed income of a martial art is the spirit stone mine. The poorer. Oh, that's it, Yekong said, throwing the mother-in-law ring into his own storage bag, and the remaining garbage tools were ready to be sold to Zhang Wulin. However, there were still a few barbaric clothes in Xia's storage bag. Yekong had always been wearing the clothes left by Xia Hui. Bring Xia's clean clothes. Who knew? He took out his clothes and saw a letter in his clothes. Generally, monks communicate by using musical notes. If the distance is too long and you are afraid of being intercepted, you can use jade paper to store the content or words in the jade paper and give it to the other party. Like this correspondence between mortals, immortals generally do not use it. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 129. Chapter 128. What is Xia doing with a mortal letter? Yekong picked up the letter and saw that the envelope reads Xia Dajhen, the head of the Bone Spirit Gate, personally, and the head of the barbarian Khan Chadun. Yekong's spirit came, no wonder it was in the form of a letter. This is a letter from the barbaric Chaha Khan to the head of the Bone Spirit Gate. Isn't the monk not involved in mortal war? Is there any collusion between Chaha and the Bone Spirit Gate? He thought, hurriedly took out the letter to read it, took a quick look, and understood the matter. The daring is that Chaha Khan and Yejiajin fought a few times and ended up with the defeat of the barbarians. The main reason was the Winged Tiger Battalion in Yejiajin. Not only are all the soldiers in the Winged Tiger Battalion, but each also has a fierce Sting Winged Tiger, and they will ride the Sting Winged Tiger into the barbarians, and if they are in no one, the barbarians will lose their helmets, falling flowers. According to Chaha Khan's words, if you want to get the South County, you must destroy the Ye family army first. If you want to destroy the Ye family army, you must first kill the Winged Tiger camp. If you want to destroy Winged Tiger camp, it is best to have the help of the Xiuxian, but most of the barbarians do not want to care about it, they say it is inconvenient to shoot. In fact, there are several reasons why the barbarians are not willing to take the shot. The first is that they are afraid that the potion hills behind the country are out. Do nt look at the potions that are good at refining medicine. Their strength is also extraordinary. And there are many friends. I am afraid that the various factions of the barbarians add up, and they may not have done it. The second reason is, what good is it to help Chaha sweat? No, the cultivator thinks of the mortals' gold and silver as dung. If you want a spiritual stone, you can't even take it out. The third is that those rulers such as the elders of the martial arts did not ask the elixir mountain for alchemy in the past, and they will certainly ask others for help in the future, so who is willing to offend the elixir mountain for Chaha Khan? However, there are exceptions, such as the Bone Spirit Gate, which is so poor that it does not need to practice advanced elixir. What they need most is the Spirit Stone, which is even more important. Teenager. The head of Elder Spirit Gate and the elders knew that if the Elder Spirit Gate was to remain intact, or even to reignite the strong wind, there must be a monk of the infant, so a teenager with excellent roots was extremely important to them. Therefore, Chaha Khan made his best choices for Bone Spirit Gate and promised that if Bone Spirit Gate was willing to help annihilate the Winged Tiger camp, then all the spirit root boys among the barbarian people he ruled would be selected by Bone Spirit Gate first. The Bone Spirit Gate was immediately overjoyed, but they did not dare to face up to the mountain of elixir in person, it was a self-death. However, there is an ancient animal bone in their warehouse. As long as they are taken to the battlefield and burned with fire, the winged tiger will burst into tears and lose its fighting power. So the real person in charge asks Xianxia to bring some samples to Chahakan for trial use. The use of Chahakan was indeed valid. This letter was the confirmation letter that Chahakan wrote to the head of Gilingman. This matter was carried out in a very covert way. If it wasn't for Yekong's killing of Xia Ying today, I'm afraid it was because the Yejiayuhu battalion had been wiped out. I still don't understand why. Yekong read the letter and gave it to Huang Quan's ancestor. What are you going to do? Said Huang Quan after reading the letter. Like the Bone Spirit Gate, there is no martial arts ancestor. If the ancestor I am alive, how many destroys it, without much effort, but now it's a bit of a hassle. People say it's a martial art. Even if there is no ancestor of Yuanying, there must be a monk Jidan. Yekong nodded, he was just the fourth floor of gas refining, and it was pure delusion to deal with a sect of others, and Huang Quan's ancestors would probably put him to sleep. After thinking about it, Yekong decided to first explore the current strength of Gilingman before making a decision. Fortunately, Xiaqian's soul has not been refined. Yekong waited for a while, and waited for his spiritual power to return. Then he sat cross-legged, took out 100 souls, and released Xia Yan's soul. Xia Yun, give you a chance. If you choose to cooperate with me, I will let you reincarnate, Yekong said to the soul like Qingyan. Qingyan slowly turned into Xia Yan's face, and he smiled bitterly, do I still have a choice? Okay, you tell me the strength of Bone Spirit Gate now, Yekong said, and warned, don't try to lie to me, I won't let you go now, I just won't make it for the time being, just turn your soul into soul. If you wait for me to go to Bone Spirit Gate and find that it doesn't match what you said, the first thing I need to do is to make you into a ghost. So I advise you not to hold any luck. To say that Xia Yun still has luck, thinking about killing Yekong, and then find the right body with the help of martial elders. However, after listening to Yekong's comment, he decided to tell the truth. After all, the situation in the door is not a secret. Yekong can easily find out, and this guy is so savvy, he won't just listen to his own words. All he had to do was grab a monk near Bone Spirit Gate, and everything would be exposed. That's it, Xia said slowly. Originally, we had an ancestor of the ancestors, 3 monks of Dandan, and they were not a small sect among the various sects of the barbarians, but 80 years ago, Yuan Ying's ancestors couldn't go one level further, and after sitting, our martial arts fell down. Actually, we have a small spiritual stone mine in Gilingman. However, since the ancestors of Yuanying have been sitting, many schools have come up with the idea of our mine. In the past 80 years, other schools have often come. Robbery, in the grabbery, 3 monks of Dandan died and 2 died, and finally the mine was lost. Xia Yan said here, sighing, so at present we have a weak door, only 1 monk of Dandan sit down. Yekong nodded, it seems that the life of this Bone Spirit Gate is really difficult, otherwise he would not dare to take the world by storm and dare to fight against the powerful spiritual medicine mountain. What is this monk Jidan doing? Yekong asked. I haven't seen it. I heard that it was Xiu Wei in the early days of Jidan. His name is Xia Yuan Hao. He usually retreats in his own cave house. He makes an important decision and the real person in charge will go to him for instructions. He usually doesn't go out. What about the other monks except Xia Yuan Hao? Yekong asked again. Xia Xian replied, no other monk can do it, even the real person in charge. There are about 20 real people who build the base, and there are nearly 200 monks in the gas refining period. Now, you are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 130. Chapter 129 Good Buddies. Then what about the bones you want to trade with Jaha Khan? Yekong asked again. Do you want to fight those beast bones? Xiaoyi was surprised, and then said, I advise you to still die this hard. Beast bones are the only possibility to save our bones and spiritual gates, although there are many, but they are all Monk Jedin hid in his private warehouse, no one else could get it. I think you have a gas refining period, and there is no possibility of a shot against Monk Jedin. Yekong coldly snorted and said, what I want to do, you don't need to control it. You just need to tell me about the beast bones. Xiaoxian sighed and said, our bone-spirited door originally researched the bones of spirit beasts, so there are many kinds of beast bones in the warehouse, but most of them are bones of ordinary spirit beasts. Only such beast bones are the bones of the mammoth of the ancient beast, which was passed down by the older generation of monks for thousands of years, is the bone of a mammoth beast. It was originally useless, so it has been kept until now, but it is unexpectedly used now. Although this mammoth beast has died for tens of thousands of years, Yue is still in his bones. As long as he is burned with fire, those low-level spirit beasts will be scared to tears and trembling, so we thought of giving Jaha sweat to scare cover those winged tigers. This is good news. After all, this ancient animal bone is not so easy to find. As long as these animal bones given to the bone spirit gate have been stolen to him, Zaha Khan can't fight the idea of winged tiger. Well, you go back. If the truth of the bone gate is true, I will let you reincarnate. Xiaosun was pinned down. How could there be any bargaining opportunity? He only nodded, thanked Yekong, and obediently returned to Beihyunyu himself. As soon as Xiaoling left, Huan Quan's ancestor asked, what are you going to do? Although this bone spirit gate is not strong, but it is not something you can handle, I think you still tell the news to Ling Yaoshan and let them do it. Decide. Yekong thought about it, although Angwo's patriarch was an elixir mountain, but the Emperor Angwo had no direct relationship with the Ye family. If the Emperor Angwo did NT want it, would he send someone out to help? Now the Emperor and Guo could not wait for the Ye family to die as quickly as possible, most of them are dead. I decided to do this. I gave the news to Lianrulan and told her to return to the teacher's gate to confess. In addition, I sneaked into Bone Spirit Gate to see the situation. Yekong decided after thinking about it. Yekong said to look at the situation. Huan Quan's ancestors were not good at objecting, but he reminded, you can go, but don't act lightly. You know, you are in the middle of gas refining, and the fairy in the not Dandan period will pinch to death. You are as simple as pinching an ant. Rest assured, I have a sense of proportion. Yekong was thinking, even if I was too far away from your real person, I would not be pinched to death like an ant. Taking Huan Quan's ancestor into a small sword weapon, Yekong stepped out of the spiritual practice array and came out, seeing Lianrulan sitting in the hall in a daze and thinking. Hey, Yekong walked over and shouted. Yeah, Lianrulan didn't know what he wanted to be so absorbed, and was suddenly startled by him. Yekong laughed, don't do bad things, don't be afraid of ghosts knocking on the door, you grab my weapon and give me medicine, you are too mean to you. Lianrulan's lips froze and hummed, I didn't want to hurt you, just to play with you. The expression on her daughter's house just showed, and she said again, you little thief, if I want your life, I have already killed you, in the middle of refining, my girl does not know how much is dead. Murder is like hemp, you, demon. Lianrulan laughed, I don't kill any of them, but they hit my storage bracelets, and I'll kill them myself. Yekong snorted and pointed at her storage bracelet and said, you are carrying such precious things, and you have deliberately used elixir to cultivate yourself in the middle of gas refining, aren't you tempting to sin? Lianrulan wrinkled her sharp little nose. Well, whoever tells them to kill their hearts, whoever kills them and robs them must be damned. Yekong smiled, This girl and her own thoughts? Lian girl, let's do that, I will give you that sachet, Yekong said generously. Cut, give it to me. I won't give it to you, do you get it? Lian Rulan replied arrogantly. You're robbing, are you holding the robbed thing and using your heart for peace? You said that you hate murderers and treasures. You are better than them. You won't kill them but you won. Now I give you then, you can use it generously. Your heart is at ease and your whole body is dry. These are two completely different concepts. Lian Rulan thought Yekong said something, and nodded, you are telling the truth, let's say, what are you asking for? It's easy to talk to smart people, Yekong laughed, and then he took out the letters obtained from Xiayi. When Lian Rulan read the letter, Yekong told her the current situation, including the relationship between the Ye family's Emperor Angguo. She hoped that Lian Rulan could help, let Linjiao Mountain dispatch some soldiers, and help solve the Soul Gate. It's easy, I'll send a note back now. Lian Rulan nodded immediately after reading. This is my good buddy. Yekong heard the overjoyed, and his arms rested on the shoulder of Lian Rulan. Lian Rulan's eyes widened, and she thought that the boy wanted to take advantage of herself, but turning her head to look, Yekong's eyes were so pure without any impurities. Yeah, we are good buddies. Lian Rulan laughed immediately, and she did not avoid Yekong's arm on her shoulder. But I think it's better for you to go back once for such a big thing. Yekong thought about it again. Lian Rulan shook her head. Actually, the mission I went out to practice this time was to kill the barbarian monks, so I brought storage bracelets to seduce the greedy barbarian monks to leave Fangxi and then kill them. But recently, it may be that the monks know my true practice, so they will not follow me. Yekong listened to her, and said to her, I asked you to return and report. What does it have to do with your mission? Could she think? Yekong guessed it right, then Lian Rulan said, since we are good brothers, then we should have difficulty sharing with each other as a blessing, so I decided that I will go to the Bone Spirit Gate with you and kill some monk, complete the mission. Yekong's eyes widened, and he thought quickly. After all, I am too low, and I have such a good helper, of course, I can't ask for it, but after all, the two don't have a deep friendship, letting the family take their own risks. Yekong feels something wrong. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 131. Chapter 130. Flying Carpet. Girl Lian, I think you still think about it carefully, this trip is dangerous, not to swim in mountains and rivers, if you are not careful, it is likely. Before Yekong finished, he was interrupted by Lian Rulan. Hey, little thief. Do you look down on this girl? Lian Rulan stood in front of Yekong with a small waist on his back and said dissatisfied, you can go in the middle of gas refining. Why can't I go in the middle of building base? Are you a girl? Yekong laughed. Hey, how could you be so foolish? If it is out of water, isn't it rotten? Of course, he didn't dare to say this kind of hooligan to his face. Last time, he scolded her and the entanglement was not over yet. Yekong stood up and patted his chest and said, well, since the refining girl is righteous, help me, then I leave Yekong dead and walk to the Soul Gate. Lian Rulan was stunned, I'm obviously helping you. Why do you think it's your righteousness? Ling Ran wants to help me. I'm here to help you. I can't let you pat your chest. It won't be good if you shoot high. Dead little thief, I pump you. Yekong is about to leave Beizongjifang City, and after he decides to leave, he will not come for the time being. These are secret and cannot be known by the people in Beizongjai, otherwise he will certainly not be released. In the next few days, as usual, he took some amulets to Zhongwulan for sale every day, but the quantity was not so much. Most of the awesome amulets were left by himself. Bone Spirit Door for self-defense. In the past few days, he went to see Zhajai again. Recently, the boy has completely forgotten the pain that Lu Ruyun brought to him, and talked to a little girl in Beizongjai. He was in a bad mood. Seeing him like this, Yekong, I feel more relieved. On this day, all preparations have been completed. He invited Zhang Wulin to the Xianxia Hotel in Fang City, ordered a few dishes, and drank some spirits. Brother Zhang, I'm leaving, Yekong said, holding a wine glass. Ah, Zhang Wulin felt a little sudden. Although he only took the money from the salesman, but a tenth of the money also allowed him to earn dozens of spirits every day. Of course, he was reluctant to leave Yekong. The news made him feel suddenly. No way. There is something at home. I have to go back, but I will be back soon. Yekong knew his thoughts, so he didn't plan to tell him the truth. Oh, that's it. Zhang Wulin nodded, took a sip of wine, and laughed again. Since something happened in Brother Yes' house, I won't stop it, but can I wait for another half a month? Wait another half a month? That's right, I have a younger sister named Zhang Wei. She heard that Brother Yes' skill is very good, so I want to come and meet you. Then Zhang Wulin introduced it, and his family made blank rune paper for generations. Blank note paper is also very convenient for himself, but he does not have the talent for a charm. However, his sister Zhang Wei is very talented in charms. Some time ago, he entered the Yunfa gate, which was very important for the charm of the runes in the gate. Recently I heard that a brother has a master of charms and wanted to come and learn a bit. Zhang Wulin was planning to introduce his younger sister to Yekong, so he also hoped that they could meet and spark, so that his big sister-in-law could make money for a long time. However, Yekong couldn't agree. He has been delaying for a few days, and if another monk is sent over the Linglingman to contact Jaha Khan, it will be more difficult for him to steal mammoth bones. Another reason is that he can't fully trust Zhang Wulin. Since he told Zhang Wulin the news that he was going to leave, he must leave as soon as possible, otherwise, let the people in Beizongjai know that he can't leave if he wants to leave. I was in a hurry at home, and I suddenly got the news. I'm going to leave tonight. Yekong put down his wine glass and said, looking at Zhang Wulin's disappointed expression. Yekong laughed again. Relax, I will try to deal with family matters as much as possible. Faster, and strive to return within half a month. Hearing Yekong's statement, Zhang Wulin also nodded and said that he took out the sales income for the day and handed it in a small black bag. But Yekong pushed back again. Brother Zhang, you can save these spirit stones first. Then he took out a few good quality artifacts from Xiaoyuan and gave them to Zhang Wulin. After drinking wine with Zhang Wulin, Yekong and Lianruolan left the Beizai village square in the night. The 100,000 mountains is located on the edge of an endless flood and wasteland. It is quite wide and its area is 3 times that of the whole country. At a glance, the green mountains are continuous and undulating. Although the area is vast, it is not suitable for mortal life. Because it is close to the flood, there are many unknown low-level spirit beasts. Even if it is a low-level spirit beast, its power is amazing. Only those who are immortals can live here. This day 2 monks, 1 male and 1 female, 17 or 18 years old, suddenly came over the 100,000 mountains. To the extreme handsome guy, but the charm of the immortal is still enough to make women's hearts. And the woman stepping on the colorful symbols is even more beautiful and makes people dare not look straight. In a white dress, the colorful symbols under her feet roll up and fly like a fairy. These 2 people are Yekong and Lianruolan, who left Beizai village. Little thief, your flying instrument is really ugly, it is just a big sheet, Lianruolan said sarcastically. Yekong's flying instrument was transformed from the red lotus root obtained from Lu Ruyun. The technique of the master craftsman is still possible. After the transformation, the flying speed does not decrease but increases, and the binding function is not lost. The only bad thing is that it's a little ugly, and from a distance, it's a sheet floating in the air. No, it's a blanket, a flying blanket. Yekong laughed. Ugly doesn't matter, but it's practical. It's like a man's stuff. It's ugly, but it's a treasure. Women need it. Lian Ruolan's face flushed and she took a sip. Dirty, Lian Ruolan lived a princess-like life in Linjiao Mountain since childhood. Those men who pretend in front of her are like 258,000, who would say these nasty words to her. But strangely, Yekong said this to her, and she was not disgusted, which is why Yekong dared to say so directly. Practical? My girl didn't see anything useful about your broken sheets. This is where the girl Lian has no idea. Yekong sat on the flying carpet and said, my flying carpet, although it doesn't have a girl's colorful weapon, it looks good, but my flying carpet is no slower than your colorful balloon by half a minute. More importantly, my flying carpet is more stable, not only can I stand on it, I can sit, I can lie.